record. Okay, so I just asked that everyone just be respectful. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Just be respectful of both of us. This is, okay, first of all, I've never done this on my own. I'm sure he's never done this. So yeah, just be patient with us and be respectful. Lance, hello. I have a mod. So if you are disrespectful, yeah, out of here, okay? I am not a professional speaker. I'm not a doctor. I am not a therapist. But what I can do is I can help, with my life experience and things that I've been through, things that he's been through, we can help. So I just want to say that. Speeches should not take too long. I was telling him 30 to 45 minutes maybe for this, and then we'll open the floor for questions or comments or anything like that. Of course, there'll be time at the end of speeches to chat, discuss, and share stories and personal experiences. We want to hear them. I want to know, he's going to talk about the ripple effect, and I want to know how you would use that in your life. Also, chat and notifications will not be read during speeches. I'm going to mute notifications, and I see chat in my peripheral. This one's going to be a little bit more free-flowing. Like, if I just happen to look at chat and see something, like, I might say it, if that gives you anything. If you don't like the speech, you can leave. That's totally fine. Or if you don't like what we're talking about, you can totally leave. You do not have to stay. Like, this is free content. If you don't like something, just hit the X. Hit the X. Okay. Speeches will be uploaded to YouTube. I have not uploaded my last speech from last time. Just give me a second, guys. I'll upload it. This one will be uploaded as well. I'm hoping to get them both on YouTube today. But if I don't, you got the VODs. Just go back and watch the VODs. Just because I'm not reading chat during the speech doesn't mean you guys can't talk and discuss what's being said. Like I said, I can see the chat. I love to see it moving. Of course, I'm not gonna be mad if it's not moving. If you guys just want to sit back and relax and not even say a word or anything like that, totally fine with that. I love that you guys like to interact and everything. Cobra with the dad jokes, a lol. Okay, things will be rocky. You guys know this. Things are gonna be rocky. It's just how it is. If something messes up, or if we mess up, or whatever, it's totally fine. No pressure. You might not relate to the things being said in the speech, and that's totally fine. Stuff like that happens. But I think it's best to just keep an open mind. Are you ready to come out of mute jail? All right, take yourself out.
Hello, hello.
All right, yay. Can everyone hear him? Is the music too loud? Can you hear
Testing.
Can you hear the stream at all?
Can I?
Yeah.
I have it muted.
Okay. We're gonna turn down the music just a tad, because just Lance. I'm just gonna turn it down just a tad. There we go. Turn that down. Okay, everyone can hear you. Good.
Good.
Hello, friend. Okay. Let's see. All right. You
Good to go?
got camera. We're good. Let's get some thumbs up. Okay. So everyone, this is ItsKengu. Kengu? Oh my god, I'm so
Kengu. Yes, it's just like penguin.
Okay, but what is your real name?
It's Kenneth.
Kenneth?
Kenny.
Kenny? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is Kitty, guys. Everyone say hello. Wave, wave, wave. Okay. So I said that. Recording muted. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Where can people find you? Go ahead, shout yourself out. If I was just popping in, where can I find you? Twitter, all that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So if you guys don't know, my name's Kengu, aka Kenny. So you can basically find me pretty much anywhere. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. Everything is under the same name. It's Kengu, as it appears in the chat.
And if you guys look under him, I put his @ so that's where you can find him on everything. His @ is right under him, under his camera.
And then if you find me on Twitter, all my information is in my bio and pinned tweet, as I am a emote artist and commissioner commission you. So ItsKenguArt.com if you need to email me out for any commissions, sub badges, all that stuff.
Are
So
your commissions open?
They're always open.
Okay, there you go, guys. If you guys need any art, okay, what emotes,
Emotes, sub badges. Yep. The only thing I really don't do is overlays, but it usually depends on how detailed they want it.
Like simplistic or... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. So you know where to find him. Thank you, Lance, so much for shouting him out. That really does mean a lot. We are so excited to do this. Basically, a little background. Messaged you on Instagram, or you messaged me or something. Or you liked Motivational. You liked it.
Yes. So I think knowing you goes way, way back.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're an OG. You're one of the OGs. Yeah. Like 3+ years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes that far back, but then also I noticed that you just like were progressively getting more and more like good vibes, motivational stuff going on in your posts, and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of friend I want. And then I saw that you were doing these talks and stuff, and I was like, yep, I need to get on this and spread the good vibes, because people with good vibes needs to stick together.
Yay,
so.
I love that. So he messaged me and I said, do you want to be on the show? And he was like, yeah, I do. So I gave him homework and I said, I want you to write up what you want to talk about. And so he did, and it's really amazing and beautiful, and it's something that I also believe in. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, so way back, one of the OGs, and so yeah. Let's talk about what you do. What do you do? What do you stream, and then what do you do IRL?
So for stream, I usually do a bit of variety. Primarily, I do commissions and anything revolving artwork and stuff. When I do get a chance to not have commissions, I usually do marbles on stream with the community, and Rocket League, and that's usually my two main focus points for video games. So kind of just overall relaxing.
Okay.
And yeah, so my IRL, I basically work in a really boring warehouse job.
Okay.
Yeah. So I basically do a bunch of basically like managing inventory and making sure that it gets sent out and stuff like that. So you can think of it like a baby Amazon, basically.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of get into the questions a little bit. So let's talk about because as a streamer, I understand the BS that we go through as far as streaming. You know, not always having the numbers, you know, it's numbers game kind of being in the back of your subconscious, you know, and just bad streams. Like I had one the other night, nothing was working, and the moment I got something to work, I was like, I give up. I'm over it at this point, just stuff like that. I want to know what kind of BS you go through. Even as a streamer, even though I understand the BS that we share, I still want to know. And then I want to know what some of the BS is with your IRL job. So just go ahead and kind of explain. I'm getting to a point, I promise. I'm very curious to know.
I think for the BS for streaming, I think would have to be probably like space management, because like my earlier days I used to dance on stream and stuff like that, because I used to be a dance teacher full time.
I remember that.
Yeah, so being restricted to my space, I feel like I can't provide the best of quality of stuff that I like to do, and so like I always have to like just manage like my camera angles, making sure that it still looks a little professional, but also like, I mean, most times I'm very low talking, good music, just drawing and stuff. But I think the biggest thing out of all that, probably audio. That's the hugest thing for me. Just because headphones get like they like basically give me headaches over time.
Okay.
And staying at the screen all day, which I do at work too.
Definitely.
So it's just like eyes are like super tired. So between the mix of those, getting on stream and just trying to relax, I usually find myself just like really exhausted. And
Gotcha.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
IRL job, millions of things.
Millions of things.
Um,
Just name off like 2 or 3.
Toxic environment.
Okay.
Employees are it's very high school mentality.
Okay.
And I'm
That's
like,
very interesting. At a warehouse job that
yeah,
you have that.
Yeah, it's because it's such a small building that everyone knows everyone. You know, if something
Gotcha.
happens, it gets spread very quickly. And I think it's also very interesting because I'm technically a supervisor for most of them,
Okay.
and I'm younger, like
Oh
by like
boy.
20 some years.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So it's
Yeah.
very interesting, but it's definitely hard to keep the good vibes going, especially when you go in there knowing that there's people that are just they're just sassy and they don't listen, basically.
Yeah.
And they just try to take the easy way out of all the stuff, which creates a bad mentality of like everything.
It makes everyone lazy. It makes, I understand. Okay, so with all of those things that you deal with, what motivates you to keep going despite all of that? Like, despite what you deal with, even on a daily, weekly, I mean, whatever kind of basis we're going off, what motivates you to keep going? Because I think it's important for every human to hear what we go through, but also how we keep going despite what we're going through. So how do you keep going, basically? What motivates you to keep going?
I think the simplest way I can explain it is I had a very, very rough childhood, physically and financially. So growing up, I lived with like next to nothing. Like sandwich meat was like breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we had to like ration it. So now that I'm in a position that I'm financially like stable and like have a good job, I do like commissions on the side, and knowing that I can just eat whatever I want and have that sense of like relief. Honestly, that's one of the biggest motivations for me.
You're gonna make me cry.
Because I had such a rough childhood that when I finally moved away from home and like literally all family, it was like either I'm gonna be homeless or I'm gonna make it.
Yeah.
And I made it.
Oh wow.
And so
what motivation? I mean, we talk about this in psychology. I do have my psychology degree. We talk about this in psychology where you can let your circumstances either make you or break you. I mean, I mean, besides psychology, I mean, just in life, people are given their deck of cards and you can either, play a great game or you can just throw it all in and give up, And like I said, you were about to make me cry because I remember, I won't say to that extent, but I remember the mac and cheese dinners, and we would like chop up hot dogs, and put it with some rice,
Man, that was gourmet, right?
Dude, seriously, you know what I mean? Like, I remember those days, but wow, how freaking powerful. I don't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Besides that, what else motivates you to keep going?
Overall that, I think the, working and stuff like that, and overall just trying to be a good person. There was another quote that I used to live by before I got like my 2 new ones that I live by currently, but one of the ones was to be the person that you needed when you're younger. And it was something that struck with me because I wanted someone that was like kind, nurturing, loving, and just like had a heart. So
golly, yeah.
So growing up, when I was going through school and even like through my job, it's like if I was having a rough day or like having trouble with something, like how would I want someone to either talk to me or react to me, or like how would I want them to lend a hand?
Empathy. I mean, the world needs empathy, and this is a complete side note, but empathy, guys. I mean, it's looking at a person and saying, I empathize with you. Like, just putting yourself in their shoes and thinking, okay, if I said, thought this, like, how would this person feel? It's just putting yourself in other people's shoes. That's so beautiful to me.
Yeah, exactly. And like, the biggest thing is like, everyone always says like treat others how you would like to be treated, but it goes down so much a deeper route too, that I think people just see the words but they don't really act on them, because it's not something to put in a coin machine and get a reward. It's something long term. It's something that builds into your character, and I think a lot of times people mistaken that from time to time. So on top of all that, that's having those like core fundamentals of having rough
Yes.
childhood, growing up, and then literally like moving away from everything. um I'm at a point where it's like I've learned to create a craft for myself, which is like in the arts, with dance and drawings, and seeing the response from it, and being that it's something that I've created. There's no greater motivation than that. It's a good feeling knowing that something that I created can provide something like of warmth for people.
I
So
love that. What the heck? Okay, first of all, you're making me like cry. Second of all, what do I always tell you guys? You do not get a cookie for being a good person. You're supposed to be a good person.
Mhm.
You are supposed to be nice to people. You're supposed to be respectful. Um, it's who we are as people. We are initially loving and kind and good. I mean, it is so. If you've ever noticed, okay, let's take a situation. Again, I'm kind of going off a little bit, but it's totally
You're fine.
fine. Let's take a situation. Let's say, okay, I'm just gonna talk in general hypothetical terms here. You get upset, you get pissed, and you like tweet out on Twitter that you like hate this thing, or you hate this person, or blah, you just like word vomit about this person because you're upset, you're angry. Do you ever feel like complete just garbage afterwards? Like, there's a reason why you feel that way, because it takes so much more energy to put that negative energy out than it is to just be positive. I mean, like I said, who we are as people is kind and loving and caring and sweet, and that energy flows so much more freely, and it takes less of it than to be negative. So that's another point to what you were saying. Just like you don't get a cookie for being a good person. I mean, it's who we are initially as people. And so, I love that. So as you guys see, we are also talking about the ripple effect. And so real quickly, I just want to kind of talk about the ripple effect. This is Wikipedia. Don't judge me, okay? But a ripple effect is a situation in which, like ripples expanding across the water when an object is dropped into it, an effect from an initial state can be followed outwards incrementally. Ripple effect is often used in economics, sociology, and computer science. In sociology, it can be observed how social interactions can affect situations not directly related to the initial interaction, the drop of water causing those ripples. So in charitable activities where information can be disseminated and passed from community to broaden its impact. So we're going to talk a little bit about the ripple effect. This is something that you believe in. Also, guys, if you look on the stream, I have dropped. Give me 1 second. Why is that showing up? Give me 1 second. I have dropped a GIF on the stream, and it is showing the ripple effect, basically. It is, a drop of water coming down and then causing those ripples. As you can see, it's causing like a wave effect. It's causing, here's a drop, and then it goes outward. It spreads out. So I want to talk about the ripple effect and how it plays a part in your life and how you use that to motivate you. If you guys know what the butterfly effect is, it's kind of like this, and we'll kind of talk about that. But I want to know how you can explain the ripple effect if you would like. I know I just read a little bit of it, but
Yeah.
And then I want to know how it plays a part in your life and how it motivates you.
Yeah, of course. So ideally, ripple effect, pretty much as simple as I can get, is if you toss a rock into the water, and waves will gradually, when the first initial wave will be big, it's the like shock value of it, and then as it progressively goes away, the waves still continue, but they're still there. There's still a motion moving. So the ripple effect has been going through since I was dancing. So since I was 18, a couple years back. So um, being able to teach young kids that were either troubled or had a sense of no release, to kind of like let out their emotions in dance is probably like, I don't think I've ever made so many kids cry just because they had a sense of release.
Yeah.
And after that, they felt a sense of ease because they were able to let it go positively. And so that's what motivated me to keep dancing. It was not because I wanted to be the best or like compete at like the highest caliber, which I've done before. It's very rough and also very toxic in communities. But I learned that I was dancing for a therapeutic side of it, and most of my kids were enjoyed that side of me, not the competitive side. So I stuck with just being very therapeutic to it. And with like everyday work, and also, I guess my internet life, I guess, because it's separate. With my IRL, I usually just talk to people and see like what I could do to fix things for them, and I usually try to keep them updated and let them be in the know. Because like for me, like even though I'm a supervisor to them and like I'm like a higher pay grade, it's just a title. Like I mean, I was doing the same job as them, 6 months before that. So I always try to make sure that they're, on the same wavelength as me, and that there's no like secrets behind them. Like I try to keep them in the know as much as possible, that my job allows me, just so that they understand that like I don't care about the titles. So it's just a higher pay grade because I've done it and I showed better productions, I guess. So it's one of those things that them feeling appreciated because I'm taking the time out of my day to make sure that they're in the know. It's helped the mentality, but it's an ongoing thing. It's you never stop it. So but internet is probably the biggest part of it though. So I real quickly, Warlock, I do basically a baby version of Amazon. I just do a warehouse job. It's super tiny and it's gross and it's rough. So that's pretty much what I do. It's and my supervising, I just count numbers and make sure that stuff goes in. And that's the other thing too, is as a supervisor, I'm technically not supposed to even touch freight, but I get down and dirty with them just as much as they're doing it too.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Empathy. Putting yourself in their shoes,
Yeah. So, but my internet life. So I work 10, 11 hours a day at my IRL job. I come home and I do at least 2 hours of drawings.
Oh my gosh.
So that's pretty much my whole day right there.
Yeah.
So instead of like eating, relaxing and stuff like that, I'm usually just drawing. So, the biggest thing that I do is I basically just draw random doodles for people on Twitter. Usually people that I follow. Every now and then I'll do other people that I'll see on like a feed that like your activity feed. I'll see people like sending good vibes to people, and I'll usually just go out of my way to just draw them a little doodle or something like that, because I think in today's time you don't expect something like that from a random person. So especially a penguin, because penguins are amazingly cute. So I've been doing it for the past 3 years now, and I think ever since I started doing it, I think I was at like 400 followers ish, and then that was right when I started streaming and everything like that 3 years ago. So it originally started with doodling on stream because people were following me, and I was like, hey, thanks. Like, and this was before I started doing commissions, and so I just drew them a little penguin, and they were like super appreciative of it. And like, I was not expecting something to get it.
Yeah.
And so it like continued on, and then I realized, why does it have to stop at Twitch?
Yeah.
Like there's other social medias.
Yeah.
So I jumped on Twitter, and then ever since then I grew 600 plus, and I'm like almost at my first 1K on social medias. So I'm like really
Congratulations.
excited. Thank you. When do I relax? I never relax. I'm always thinking about something, or seeing what I can do next.
I feel that.
So on Twitter, anytime someone follows me, and like I basically do like a little dive on their profile to see who they are. It's kind of like working with clients.
Yeah.
I want
to know
see
them.
want to see like who they are. Are they just like one of those profiles that just retweets and posts toxic stuff, or are they actually like a genuine person? And if I see like some promise, I usually go out of my way to just do like a compilation batch of like little doodles for people. I usually just pull something from their profile, like say they're like a Destiny player, I'll pull up like some Destiny armor, draw them in like a penguin form or something like that. So I pretty much just do that, and it's just progressive, like it's gotten more and more and more like traction. But probably the greatest thing, the reason why it's become motivation, is because I do it at night. So then in the morning, I usually see the responses from them, and that usually kind of gets my day going.
Yeah.
Because no one likes waking up at 5 a.m. to go to your job and work for 10 hours.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's my cup of coffee, because it's good. It's good to see people's reaction, especially when they don't expect anything at all, especially if they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about giving. I'd rather just doodle out for them, and then in that time of doing all that, that's progressively got me into the side of commissions, because I want to say at least a third of my commissions have come from just random doodles, because they're like, this person's super nice, love the cuteness of it, and then they commission me for it. And that's how I've progressed into a commission artist, was simply because I was just doing what I love and be passionate about it. And that's
and people
kind of where
want that. They want that in their life, and I mean, positivity, I mean, you can say you can call it a sickness, like zombies. I mean, when you're positive, it really moves. It really does. And so, I'm really happy about that. What I want to, let me know if I'm interrupting you.
No, you're good.
Okay, so I have another little GIF, and I'm gonna pop it up. What it is 2 ripples now. And what I kind of want to relate this to is all of the things that you have said. Okay, so let's take your dancing, how you taught the kids how to dance for therapeutic reasons, for release. You've caused one ripple, and it has initially spread into another ripple, because one of those kids is going to take what you've taught them, and they're going to teach someone else that. The ripples have expanded. Yeah. Take your IRL job with the warehouse. You trying to get in their shoes, just trying to be a positive person. You're going to touch someone, and they're going to use that somewhere else in their life, and then the ripples are just going to get bigger. And then with your art, I mean, you're touching people, and then you can even relate the ripples to commissions. I mean, the commissions, but no, like positivity, it's like a sickness, man. We're like zombies to it, I mean, when you have one person spreading positivity, it's gonna get on another person, and they're going to want to spread positivity, and then you just have all these ripples, and they're kind of going everywhere. So that's what that GIF relates to. But I mean, I think it's such a beautiful thing, and this is why I wanted to have you on the show. I don't know, it's show, whatever. I call it a show, I guess, segment. It's because I just thought that was so beautiful, because in my life, I love the butterfly effect. And it is, they're kind of the same thing, but they're just used in different ways. And I was a freshman in college, and I was a biology major at the time, because I wanted to study blood. Don't even get me started on this. That didn't work out. I'll just say it did not work out. School was kicking my butt in biology. It was freaking hard. It was not like high school. And I went to a speech where he was talking about insects, I believe. And, I love butterflies. Butterflies are probably one of my favorite things in the entire world. I will have a tattoo of a butterfly one day. And he was talking about the butterfly effect, and how the flap, and obviously this is probably not true, but to think of it, in a figurative sense, the flap of a butterfly's wings can cause a hurricane somewhere else. And I loved how that sounded, you have such a fragile little butterfly, the flap of its wings causing a hurricane somewhere else. I just loved how that sounded. So the butterfly effect, it's initially that. Just one small thing that you do here can cause a bigger impact or effect somewhere else. And so when you were talking about the ripple effect, when you sent me your little essay thing, your homework that I made you do.
Yeah.
I related it so much to the butterfly effect. And it's so true. A message from us to you guys is you do not know what your random act of kindness or your small act of kindness or your words or your positivity or what you're doing in this world, you don't know what it can do for other people. But you have to try first. You know, I'm sure you didn't start doing what you were doing just so you could feel the ripples initially come back to you. Ripples don't go like this, guys. Ripples don't go back in. They go out. Those ripples will never come back to you. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know. I just thought it was really beautiful, and I related it a lot to the butterfly effect. And that's what I try to live by. You know, just having this one small act here make a huge impact somewhere else. You know, you don't know what you could do for someone else, but first you just have to do it. You know, I mean, I'm sure your drops into the water, you weren't like, oh, this better do something. Like, you just wanted to do it and just keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like the whole butterfly effect, that definitely correlates with my, like, the whole commission, like, startup for me was simply because just doing random doodles for people, and then someone asked me for a commission. I jumped out of my comfort zone and said, why not see what happens? And they loved it. They shared it with their community, and it was like the first time I ever saw something of mine hit like 300-400 likes and like 20-30 some like comments and saying how like cool it was and pretty and stuff. Something like that is just like, it's mind-blowing. But then also, fast forward, say, I think it was like 3-4 months later, TwitchCon happens, and then I see someone wearing my exact design, but they don't know who I am because I was still like very elusive. I was just the person behind the scenes. So like, I complimented them on him, but they didn't know who I was.
Aww.
But it's something like that, like, that's not so much a ripple, but it's more of a butterfly effect. And because I did that, and then I moved forward, they reached out to their friends, and then I got a very big popular Twitch streamer to work with me, and then ever since then it's been like, it's history. Now I'm an emote artist and sub ads and stuff like that. But because of me being positive outlet and just drawing for people, it put me in a position where I am today. Just because not reaching out for hey, I'll do commissions, or like, oh, I'll do this, that. It was just me being me, put me in a position like that. So it's good to have a butterfly effect from now and then.
Oh, so. Definitely. Mr. Corin, he made a point, and he said it can have a negative outcome as well.
Yes.
It can, but I don't think that you initially, or we as humans initially, go into any type of thought process saying, I'm hoping to do this because I want it to have a negative effect later. And if there is a person out there that does that, they're obviously not a positive person, but you and I are talking about positivity. We're talking about love. We're talking about kindness, and I truly, truly believe that love conquers all. Love will always win. And so, yes, of course, there could be negative outcomes, but I think when you're initially trying to be a positive person, positivity is going to be the only thing that comes out of it. But if you are stepping into something saying, I want to have a negative impact, of course, I mean, like, it's going to have a negative impact. But we're talking about positivity here.
Yeah. And so, like, to follow up with your, like, Corinne said, you know, things having negative effects too. Like, so let's take my story for example of the drawing emotes and then I get commission, right? So the negative effect of it could be, say, like a couple months later in the line, they use me as the next commissioned artist. Someone else doesn't get it, so that would be a negative effect on them.
Yeah.
So they don't get it. But following with that, how does that person take that opportunity? Do they take it as a negative aspect, or do they take it as a, okay, I didn't get this commission, I'm gonna work harder to go to like a next client, or work harder on my artwork or something like that? So it's, yes, you can create negative effects, but it's a matter of the person that's affected by it, how they receive it, and how they basically send it out, kind of thing. Because it's all about being humble about what you're doing, though. Like if you're actively going out there just to be like number one on top,
Yeah.
it's a very, very aggressively toxic mentality, because
Yeah.
you're not being humble of the other people around you. So anything you do will have a negative effect.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. But if you think more positively, you'll see that you're doing more positive than bad.
Exactly.
That's just how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hi, Mom. Hello. What my mom just said. You know, I talked about in my speech, I believe it was last week. Guys, I'm so sorry. Things are running together. But I talked about how there is no such thing as failure. When you look at things that are or are not happening in your life, it's because that's what was meant to happen. You know, if something doesn't happen, it's because it wasn't meant for you. It wasn't right for you. You know, there is, and most of the time, it means that there's something better for you down the road. You know, and so, you know, what with Corin is saying, of course, negatives, they happen in life. There is such thing as negatives, but we're talking about making positive impacts here. And when you and I go out into the world and we do something, it will have a positive effect. That I feel like the positive will so much more outweigh the negative. Now, someone could say, Ashley, you're being toxic because you're saying there's no such thing as negative. I'm just like an optimistic person. That's just who I am as a person. I'm always like happy, you know, optimistic. I try not to pay attention to that negative stuff. But I mean, in reality, you're right. You know, some of the things that you do, there's gonna be a negative somewhere in there, but I do believe that the positive will so much more outweigh, you know, the negative. But
exactly.
I just wanted to point that out. Mr. Corin, you know, I appreciate your point. But we are trying to be positive here, you know, and I think it's important to realize that positivity is amazing and it can do amazing things. And instead of initially looking at the negative, because that takes so much more energy, look at the positive. It's so much easier to be positive than it is to be negative. And with that comes my next point, actually. How do you take the challenges you face each week and turn them into positives? Like me, for example, like I'm a super optimistic person. So for those who don't know, at the beginning of this year, I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And I mean, at first, I really took that as a huge hit. You can ask my mom, I like cried about it for like a week straight. But I usually take things like that and I just really try to turn them into a positive. And so on the days where I'm feeling super weak, like muscle and joint pain, I try to say, okay, this is a good opportunity for me to take a break. I've been going. Let's take it easy and let's have a rest day. So that's a way that I initially take that challenge and make it a positive, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I want to hear how you take what you're going through and turn it into a positive. And you can even go back and relate to your childhood. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And I think people really need to hear that. That you can, my mom is another great example of that. You can come out of a childhood such as that and still be a positive person and a positive influence for other people. And so I just want to hear how you take your challenges and turn them into a positive.
I think so. That's a really good question. So I think overall, I want to say the biggest impact that has helped me overcome my challenges is the arts. music, dance, drawing, all that stuff. Growing up, not having, very much or anything at all. Um, it was rough because I didn't have an outlet at the time, and it wasn't until I was 18. Yeah, it wasn't until I was 18 that I started dancing, and it was like the first time that I was like in like impacted by it. It was just like, let whatever happens, and see what goes there. And I think, yeah, it was the first day I started dancing. I lost it. Just emotions flowed because I've never experienced that. And going to college for singing and stuff like that, for choir and stuff, that um, you know, understanding that you can literally just let it all out while singing is like no greater feeling. Same thing with dancing. Like, you can get out all your frustrations. Like, there's no other greater feeling. And anytime I have like a moment of downtime on my brain, or I reminisce on the old times of my upbringing, I go to drawing. So I have something in the arts relating to basically any of the negative emotions for myself. But at the same time, it's good to have those because, one, you feel human,
Yeah.
and also it just kind of puts you back into perspective of where you came from as well. Um, I mean, I could go on for hours about how I was raised, and it was rough.
Yeah.
But you know, I've come to a point now, um, that I've accepted it and have learned how to use it to my advantage. Um, so it's good to never forget, because if you were to do that, then your attentions kind of lose their importance and their focus. Um, so any day I like wake up and I go to my job, or like I get off from work and I go right to drawing, I always think back of like, those days where I had like nothing, and like no one to text, no one to call, like, and it was like right before internet was like becoming the cool thing. And it's like, I would have killed to have just like a random person, like an artist, or like, people that do care about numbers, like see someone that has like over 900 followers, like draw them something out of nowhere just because I follow them. Like, I would lose it, And like, there's few people that follow me now on Twitter that I'm still like giggly about, but it's one of those things, like, if I can still feel that, like, how is someone else that is gonna feel like it when they don't promote themselves to be like a big Twitter person or streamer,
Yeah.
but just like because they want to support the people,
Yeah.
um and that kind of follows up with um just people giving you their time as well. Like, I give my coworkers all the time I can give them, as much as possible, and then like my internet personality life here, if people give me their time, that's time out of their day. Like, we all share the same 24 hours. Like, that's like the biggest thing that I can preach, is we all share the same 24 hours. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way of extending it. There's no
Yep.
there's no extra cheat code,
Yep.
um but at the end of the day, it's like, that's payment right there for me. Like, that's all I need to do, like a quick little doodle. Now, if that person's actively talking to me, supporting me and stuff like that, I'll take a little bit more extra time to do a better doodle. It's comes back down to, you give me what you want and I'll give you back, the same energy kind of thing. um but I don't want to, you know go too far away from the point. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that helps me, is like, if I'm like super like stressed out or whatever, I just sing in the car. If I'm feeling really down, I'll draw. And then if I'm like feeling angry, I dance. But it's been a year. Yeah, it's been about a year that I got the confirmation that I can't, quote unquote, can't dance anymore because of my knees and my back. But
It's hard.
it's hard because it's something that I was very passionate about, and it was the first thing that gave me light in my life. And but because of that, it was such a gross feeling. But knowing that I couldn't compete anymore was fine with me, because I didn't like that mentality anyways. But that kind of gave me a better reason to focus more on my arts and, music and stuff like that. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because yes, it sucked that I couldn't dance and, do my crazy moves anymore, but it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, well, I don't have to make the choice anymore. I can actually put more time into my art. And here I am, motivated more than ever, and just drawing for people and stuff like that too. So
That's how you took a negative and made it a positive. I mean,
yeah.
One of the things with the Hashimoto's disease is I can't run anymore. I mean, I can, but if I go too hard, I mean, I will hurt myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that was really hard on me. But instead of taking that, like I did the first week and crying every day, after that, I was like, I could do something with this. I can raise awareness on Hashimoto's disease. I could tell people about it. I can help women and men who also suffer from thyroid issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking a negative and just making it a positive, having that optimistic side of you.
Yeah. And
but go ahead. No,
Okay.
you go.
And I think that's like the hardest thing too, is like the stigma of a guy not having emotions or anything like that. I'll straight up cry whenever I need to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of people tense up about how they are brought up, or kind of what quote unquote defines them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's molding. It helps mold you with whatever you're dealing with. And I think that's the hardest thing that I always try and preach, is like, people don't understand how and who you are, besides a username and numbers. Like, that's all you get pretty much.
Yeah, which
But like,
sucks.
yeah. So like, the best thing that we can do with like our platform is like explain to them, like, it's perfectly okay to have a horrible day, or have an emotional breakdown, or anything, like having a huge emotion breakdown. But at the end of the day, it's just knowing that you're cared about and loved for is like, it outweighs it all.
Yeah.
And like, my goal in life is to make sure that I do something that potentially gives them the warmth, basically, like that. Because it sucks feeling alone, but also like, having the upbringing that we've had, it's like, we're trying to explain to them, like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just have to either take that leap, or like
step
find
outside your
that,
comfort zone.
I believe that was one of your
yes,
yeah.
Step outside your comfort zone. Yay!
Yeah.
It's all coming back. It's a full circle. I love what my mom just said. If dance was your outlook for anger, maybe that has been taken from you so that you can focus your energies on the other talents that express your love instead.
Perfect. That's exactly 100%. I was very angry with my family, my parents, my dad, just how we were raised, and like a lot of the mental scars that I've had. So
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
It's okay. I mean, I'm thankful that I'm still alive and I'm here. So, but I was a very angry child, just because of all that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, having that therapeutic side of dance, it changed me, basically. My dance teacher, my only dance teacher, she gave me the nickname Light.
Aww.
So it was spelled Lyt, and
Okay.
she said that anytime I was in a room or with someone new, I always lightened up their heart, because I was like such a positive person, and just my attitude and stuff around the people. And ever since then, it stuck with me, because I was like, this angry kid could be a positive person.
Yeah.
So like, dance literally changed my whole personality. Like, I couldn't tell you where I'd be right now if I didn't have that, because who knows? It's crazy. It's crazy how far that transcends and stuff like that. But yeah, what she said is 100%. Like,
yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, it could have easily been taken out of like my homework from earlier, but it's crazy nowadays where we're at, because I feel like there's just such a huge wave of negativities that always go around and stuff, that it sucks that you get emotional for good messages and good vibe videos on like any type of social media, like people coming together. Like, that should not make you cry. That should be like oh, that's super cool. Like that should be like an everyday thing. It shouldn't be
Yeah.
like
Oh,
an emotional
definitely.
breakdown. Like
Like me
I
even
lose it every
tearing up
time.
about what you're saying, like, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
So
emotional
like,
anyways,
but it all comes back down to like, I knew how I grew up. It sucked. And there's people out here that, could even be in this community right now, or in this chat room, that, have had or dealing with some pretty rough stuff. But you can get through it. It's just a matter of just hanging on and being humble to it, and figuring out how you can use that as a building block.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's some things that you can't, but you can fight.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. Like,
Definitely.
never surrender.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I wanted to make a point real quick, because we talked about social media as well, and how what you see on social media is, and this isn't an actual number or anything, I'm making it up, but
yeah.
you only see the 60% on social media. There is a
Yep.
whole 40% that you don't get to see, that a person is doing in the background, or that they're going through. Social media, I feel it is good. Excuse me. Social media is bad, but it can be good. And so with my 40%, I try to make it a 100% on my social media. I want people to know 100%. Okay, 90%. Because I'm a private person, but I want them to know what I'm struggling with and what I'm going through, because if it can help somebody, I want to do it, And so I think Spooky made a point earlier about how social media makes him feel really bad when he gets on it. Well, I want people to feel really good when they get on it. And so, that was a whole other reason for me to start Motivational, was because I used to hate Mondays. I used to freaking dread Mondays. Like, I legit hated it for no reason. For absolutely no reason. It's just another day. You know what I mean? Like, just because it falls after a weekend doesn't make it any less of a day than all the other days, And so I was like, I want to motivate people to love Mondays again. It's using what I can to try and be a positive person and be a positive influence. I think people are using social media wrong. I tweeted out last night that cancel culture and call out culture needs to die, because we're all humans. We're all experiencing things and going through things. And I think we should be using social media to help people. And that also, what you said, makes me really mad. The fact that we can watch a positive video or someone doing a random act of kindness for someone else and it make us emotional and want to cry, because we don't see it every day, And so I just wanted to, if you're following someone and they make you sad, it's time to unfollow them. There are toxic people out there that you just need to out of your life. And, these influencers aren't making a positive influence on anybody. And so, something that I did, and this could be a little exercise for those of you in the chat, I unfollowed everybody. And what I did was I went through and I followed artists, photographers, digital artists. What are those people that like build buildings? What are they called?
Construction workers?
Yeah, no, the design.
DIYs?
Like the design part behind it.
The only thing that comes to mind is DIY.
Okay, I guess. I'm literally drawing artist. Let's just say artist as a huge term, and I feel so much better when I get on social media. Architect, thank you.
Okay.
I followed a bunch of artists. We'll just say artists, and I feel so much better, because art is beautiful, and it's a way that everybody expresses themselves. Like you and I, we express ourselves in art. And so there's a little exercise for you. If you feel like you're getting on social media and you're sad, it's time to unfollow some people, and it's time to follow people who are trying to make a difference, And anyways, we'll end that conversation. But
was it Spooky that mentioned that, or
about feeling sad when they get on?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So just a quick add to that, like my biggest thing is it takes it. It's so much. Man, how do you explain it? Basically, it takes just as amount of energy for them to post negativity as it is for you to just unfollow them. Like, there's no like.
What did I tweet about? What did I tweet about? Do you
remember?
No. Okay, so this person decided to message me and tell me how depressing my content was because it's all modeling poses, I guess, and like I'm just like staring blankly, quote unquote. And I said, the amount of energy that it took you to message me and tell me that you think I'm depressing is the same amount of energy you could have used to just unfollow me. Mm-hmm. You know? I mean, you gotta think about where you're dispersing that energy, you know? So good point. I mean, it's true.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you guys ever like think 200 IQ further back, but like if you look at like people you follow, it corrects your mentality. Like if you follow toxic people, you'll start to feel toxic, you'll start to feel blah or whatever. But if you guys want to do a test, I guarantee you it'll blow your mind. When you're on Instagram, if you have Instagram and you follow certain people, or you're looking at certain things on Instagram. So say you look at animals or whatever, I guarantee if you go to your search bar and go to your discovery page, the analytics will start to calculate what you're looking at and will start showing you popular feeds of what you've been looking at. Mm-hmm. Because when I first started on Instagram, it was just a bunch of random artists, cosplayers and stuff like that, and a couple of like just random funny memes and stuff. Nowadays, bless my girlfriend, it's all cats. All cats, which I'm perfectly fine with. But the fact of the matter is it kind of correlates with the same mentality of like who you follow kind of molds you into who that like personality of you're looking for kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So like if you filter out the negativity, eventually what will come out is something that you look for. Algorithm. Thank you. Not analytics. Algorithm. Thank you. I knew it was an A word. But yeah, and that's like, you know, the whole like calling out mentality, like you were saying, like it sucks because as soon as someone calls them out and there's a valid point, everyone will go as deep as they can
to try and hurt that person.
Yeah, and it's like, I understand that they did wrong and that's fine, but if they don't learn from their mistakes, guess what? Unfollow them. But you don't have to follow them. Yeah. Like a lot of the influencers that are around today are, you know, impacted by their social media presence kind of thing. Yeah. So like if that were to go away, guess what? Just be like any other person. Exactly. So like that's why, you know, going with your whole, you know, there's 60% of us are on online and stuff like that, you know. I'm sure you could go back 3-4 years and you'll find some negative posts for me, but like most times I write it down on paper and pencil and then I throw it away just to get it off my mind.
Love that exercise.
And then I totally forget about it. I'm very forgetful if it's negative, like pretty quick. It's actually pretty scary, just because if it's obviously going to like
make you
give me in a bad mood, I forget about it within like 5 minutes, and then I'm like, yep, totally gone. So
love that. All right, so this is my last question that I have for you.
Okay.
What is your message to those who may be having a tough time right now and need some motivation? What would your message be to them?
Man.
You can relate back to what you said at the end of your homework if you would like.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. I think it follows up with 3 things. One is the whole ripple effect that it'll come all back together. But the ripple effect doesn't necessarily have to go back to you. It can go to others. And like for me and like to other people, like you don't necessarily have to like do crazy drawings or anything like that. Just sending a good message to someone just randomly, you know, it gives you a sense of comfort knowing that you did something positive for people. And there's no greater feeling just being positive and you know, just sending out something. You know, it could even be just like a simple like, hey, hope you have a wonderful day. Like you don't know how much that would affect someone.
Seriously, you have no idea how much that could make someone's day. I mean, there have been times where I'll just like pass a stranger. I'm like, oh my God, like I love your dress. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. And the look on their face is like, I really needed to hear that, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like the most random thing, but you don't know what a random thing like that can do for somebody.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly. And then like basically the two quotes I live by today. So I used to have like the other one where it was like, you know, be the person you wish you had when you were younger. But nowadays it's been the same for like the past, I think, 10 years now. I feel like, yeah, I'm starting to feel old. But one of them is be the change you want to see in the world. So as simple as just be the change. I mean, in today's society, you see so much negativity and stuff like that. It doesn't mean, you know, we have to live in that. Everyone has a voice. You know, if someone doesn't respect your opinion or, you know, even acknowledges your voice, then guess what? You don't need them in your life. And that's the biggest thing is like, you know, being told that I was super nice, super kind, big-hearted person, you know, getting called that out all the time, you know, after I got out of high school and stuff like that. It shouldn't be like that. It should be just like, hey, you're super cool. Like, shouldn't be
Like
acknowledged just
this
because you're being a good person.
huge
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, unfortunately in today's time, that's what it is. So, you know, I'm still going to be who I am and just continue being nice and caring. And that kind of just goes with the whole, you know, just treat others like how you want to be treated and just be the change. I mean, there's people out there that are going to try and ruin you 24 hours, but
100%.
I mean, they're only there for your 5 minutes of time. So, you know, don't let 5 minutes affect your whole day, basically.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing that I can preach about. And then the other thing was actually the quote that's on my arm right here that you guys can't see because it's backwards. But it says,
I
even
can
the
read
darkest
backwards.
night. Hey, there you go. It says, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. So without getting into too much context, basically, I've been homeless multiple times in my life, both when I was younger and when I was 19, 20. And it was like the lowest points. It sucked. Had nothing. And then, you know, I didn't think much was going to come out of my life or if my life was still going to continue. But this quote resonated with me so much simply because, you know, there's a feeling of when you go to sleep and wake up and the sun's up, and whatever time you wake up, that's the real big thing. But the warmth that the sun gives you when you're at your coldest point at night, it speaks volumes, basically.
Wow.
But that's my biggest thing because, you know, everyone lives in a different time zone. Everyone is affected differently by certain things. So the best you can do is just make sure that you give someone some reassurance that there is warmth on the other side. Like I said, we all deal with certain things, you know, and like for me, I've accepted my upbringing and everything. So now, like, I use that to my advantage and
As a
tell them, like,
tool.
hey, yeah, because I'm like, hey, I've had it pretty crappy, but, you know, here I am. I'd like to say I'm very positive and, you know, trying to be, you know, a good influence in the world of society of social media, but, you know, I'm just one person tossing a little pebble into the water and hoping that it creates a big ripple effect because, you know, we need more people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so
yeah.
beautiful. That is seriously so beautiful. I mean, I don't know how many years ago it was. I mean, when I graduated college, I guess. I mean, I've been through a lot of low points, but I remember that one specifically for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but it sticks out to me a lot. I was very depressed. I think it had a lot to do with the chemical imbalance in my body because of too much change at once, and like, you know, your body can't handle that. And then just, you know, you have your chemical imbalance, and then I was just sad, and I got really, really depressed. And I told myself, I said, you have got to think of one positive thing each day until you get out of this mess. And the one positive thing that I could think of was that I woke up each day. And so for you to say that sun thing, like, really made me super emotional.
Yeah, it's It's funny because the biggest moment that I remember growing up, that like the reason why the quote will forever stick with me, aka because it's tattooed on me, was sleeping in like a half what do you call it, half sewed up tent in like the wooded areas, because trying to hide basically. And then waking up in the tent, and obviously it was like super cold because it doesn't retain heat, but then getting that sun hit you, it was like knowing that, kind of like what you said, you wake up for another day. And like that's something that I do nowadays, is I always try to set myself up for a good start basically. So like kind of like how I said, I draw people doodles at the end of the night. And then when I wake up, usually I'll get like, some notifications of people liking it. And not saying like because they heart it, but like they actually actively like message saying like, oh my goodness, this is super cute. But anytime I'm feeling low or something like that, I basically channel that in and just say I'm just gonna draw something super cute for someone. And I usually just scroll through and look for someone basically, because people usually say, oh man, this is super cool, phenomenal drawing. And it's like, yeah, I put a lot of sadness into it, but it's one of those things like I'm taking my emotion and channeling it into a work of art basically.
Yeah, I love that.
And that goes inside with all my tattoos. Like, they're good conversation starters, but they're also reminders for myself and just why I do the things, because my body is quote unquote my canvas, and I've marked it with things that I like to stay humble and true to myself. And and then I have a random penguin on my arm, so yeah.
I love that. What's
Yeah.
what's the thing with penguins, like, if you don't mind me asking? Because they're just cute, or they...
So the first biggest moment of my life was winning nationals for dance.
Okay.
When I was like 3 months into dancing. I
Okay.
had like a natural ability to dance, and I was just like, oh, this is super cool. And going to like, we went to this like nationals things, and we got placed first. And like, we're going against people that are like, what you see on like YouTube, like those 20 30 plus
Yes.
people just going hardcore. And it was just me and my duet partner when we won. And we got to go to the zoo for free because we were part of the competition. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I'm not a big fan of zoos. I don't like animals being captive. Any animal that just should not be in this environment, just not a fan of.
That's a whole other
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen your posts. I know.
Oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah. So when I saw the penguin exhibit, there was a moment where all of them swarmed me, and I was walking back and forth, and they kept following me like there's a video of like penguins trying to catch a butterfly and hopping around them.
Yeah.
But I kept walking back and forth, and then they were just following me, and I was just like,
this is the best moment of my life. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like the only animal that resonated with me, and I was like, this is super cool. But then following up with the emperor penguins, which is the most known penguin of all time. When it comes to harsh winters and cold times, they come together and warm themselves up as a group, but they also put all the little children and the young ones and old ones in the middle to get the most warmth. So it's like, for me, I want to create a community, but also think of myself as someone that wants to make sure that the people that can't care for themselves or like need help, that I'm there to like provide them with that inner circle warmth of like, like an emperor penguin. So that's why I have the tattoo, because
wow,
that's why I love penguins. And
yeah.
then
can I get some ash feels in chat, please?
Some big feels. So I also have to pay homage to the fact that my Twitch and my Twitter career, if you will, my Twitch career started simply because I was just drawing random penguins. Like, I mean, I have some of my old drawings that were 3 years ago that are rough, but because I stayed true to myself and I stayed true to the whole penguin mentality, the penguin and Kirby's and stuff. But because I was still doing the whole penguin thing, it's put me in a position where I am now. And like, even at my IRL job, I draw penguins from time to time. Simply because that's just who I am, and that's where the name Kengu came from. It's just penguin, Pengu,
okay,
but with Ken.
All right,
so,
I'll try to remember that.
Yeah. If not, it's perfectly fine. 9 times out of 10 people usually say
Kenny.
Kenju.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, Kenny's perfectly fine. It's just and that it's, how do I explain it? Penguins, and the nickname of penguins is like Pengu.
Okay.
And like usually like my name's Kenneth, but people
Yeah.
always call me Kenny. So it's kind of like they both have the same similar step down.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's the biggest thing about penguins. You know,
Love
I
that.
love
love
them, and
that.
you can't be mad at them. So anyone that gets a penguin doodle, it's like you can't be like, oh, that penguin sucks. Like that's evil.
Yeah.
That's evil.
Yeah. No, I love that. We are gonna discuss with the chat for the remainder of this, but one more time, shout yourself out. Where can they find you?
Yeah.
All that stuff. Go ahead.
Of course. So everything is attached to the same name. ItsKengu, ItsKengu, as you see in the chat, as well as I believe the @ handle. Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch are all the same names. All my social media links are also in my Twitch panels as well. If you want to check me out on Twitter, all my bios have my information for commissions as well. It's kenguart.com. And yeah, that's simply it. Basically, if you find someone that has a little penguin doodle, it's usually done by me. So yeah, and that's the greatest feeling, is seeing people have them as their profile picture, and it's like, I know where you got that from.
I love that. All right.